I'm here because I want to urge a no vote on all these amendments that essentially stop the Environmental Protection Agency from doing their work as it relates to air pollution. And I'm here to do that because never before have we ever interfered in enforcement of the Clean Air Act, and it's worked because we have seen tremendous advances in our clean air. Pollutants cause or contribute to asthma, emphysema, heart disease, and other potentially lethal respiratory ailments, and we know from the work of the Bush administration and that of the Obama administration that the endangerment finding that said that greenhouse gases were dangerous for our health predicted that ground-level ozone would increase if we did nothing, and we'd have more cases of asthma and coughing and people staying home from school and staying home from work. The EPA's endangerment finding is key, and here's what they told us. Severe heat waves are projected to intensify, which can increase heart-related deaths and sickness. Remember, this is relating to carbon pollution. Greenhouse gases, exactly what my colleagues are trying to either slow down cleaning up or stop cleaning up in an unprecedented assault on our nation's health. Unprecedented assault on our nation's health. We even had a senator stand up here and say EPA doesn't have the right to regulate carbon pollution, greenhouse gas emissions. I would urge that person and everyone else saying that to read the Clean Air Act. It's so clear. And by the way, the Bush administration didn't want to enforce the Clean Air Act, and they went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, It's very clear in the Clean Air Act that, yes, Congress meant that we should control this type of dangerous pollution once an endangerment finding is made, and that was made. What the McConnell amendment does, which my friend Jim Inhofe was actually the author of the full bill, same thing, is essentially say that the EPA is overridden. They repeal the endangerment finding. That's like my coming here and saying, I want to repeal science that says that smoking causes lung cancer, okay? I want to play doctor. I want to play scientist. It's absolutely a dangerous precedent because it involves our people. And climate change is expected to worsen regional smog pollution, which can cause decreased lung function, aggravated asthma, increased emergency room visits, and premature death. Why on earth do my colleagues want to repeal an endangerment finding? By the way, Senator Murkowski once tried it, it failed, and it's going to fail here today. But the fact is, why should we play doctor? I know some of us have a great elevation of ourselves, but please, we don't have, a couple have doctorate degrees, but most of us are not scientists and doctors. We act like we are, and I'm just too humble to repeal, science, and that's what they do here. Now let's look at the health successes of the Clean Air Act. In 2010 alone, the Act prevented 160,000 premature deaths, 1.7 million asthma attacks, 130,000 heart attacks, and 3.2 million lost days of school. I'm telling you, the Clean Air Act has been a great success. The number of smog-related health advisories in Southern California has dropped from 166 days in 1976 to 0 days in 2010. Why on earth would we want to mess with a law that has been working? It has been working. I defy anyone to point out a law that has worked as well as this one. We went from 166 days in Los Angeles, where people were told not to go outdoors, to 0 days in 2010, because the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, by the way, created by a Republican president, Richard Nixon, that EPA does its job. Look at the bipartisan support for the Clean Air Act. First of all, it passed the Senate 73-0, the House 375-1. And the conference report was approved unanimously. And now suddenly I can't find a Republican to say they fully support the Clean Air Act. What has happened to my friends on the other side of the aisle? This was a bipartisan issue. It certainly is with the people. In 1990, we had a bipartisan vote signed by President George Herbert Walker Bush. Senate 89-10, House 401-25. And that's why so many people in this country still support the Clean Air Act. Let's look at that results of that bipartisan poll that we had. Bipartisan support. It was created, the EPA, by Richard Nixon. Republican President George Herbert Walker Bush signed the reauthorization, and 69% of the people in this nation, and this is a poll that was taken February 14th of this year, say that the Environmental Protection Agency should update Clean Air Act standards with stricter air pollution limits. Listen, stricter air pollution limits. Now, the polluters don't like it. They're crying all the way to the bank. They had the biggest profits they ever had, the oil companies. They don't want the EPA enforcing the law. And by the way, my colleagues named this amendment something like the Gas Reduction Price Act or something like that. They say this is going to help us stop gas prices from rising. It has nothing to do with it. You know, every time we move forward with Clean Air Act authorities, there are predictions from all the polluters about how horrible it will be, and we never had such a period of prosperity since Richard Nixon signed the Clean Air Act. 68% say Congress stay out of the Clean Air Act standards. Leave them alone. Don't change them. This amendment by McConnell and the others all interfere. 69% say EPA scientists, not Congress, should set pollution standards. This McConnell amendment and the others all put Congress in the middle of this. Guess what? The people are smart. They don't want politicians deciding what to do about their health. They don't come to us when they have asthma. They don't come to us when they get cancer. They rely on physicians. They rely on scientists. But we're playing doctor here today. We're going to repeal, or they're trying to repeal, the endangerment finding that went along with the EPA deciding to move forward and enforce decreases in carbon pollution. Now, the Washington Post on March 24th had a very interesting article in it, an op-ed piece signed by Christy Todd Whitman, EPA Administrator from 01 and 03, and William Ruckelshaus, EPA Administrator from 1970 to 1973. Two Republican former heads of the EPA. You know what they said? Today, the agency Richard Nixon created in response to the public outcry over air pollution and flammable rivers is under siege. The Senate is poised to vote on a bill that would, for the first time, disapprove of a scientifically based finding, in this case, that greenhouse gases endanger public health and welfare. And this is signed by two Republican former heads of the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm telling you that the McConnell is radical in the extreme. We never before played doctor around here and repealed a scientific finding that said a certain type of pollution is a problem. They also say it's easy to forget how far we've come in the past 40 years. We should take heart from all the progress and not, as some in Congress have suggested, seek to tear down the agency that the President and Congress created to protect America's health and environment. So, if you're interested in bipartisanship around here, why don't we look at the facts? And the facts are that the American public supports EPA and the Clean Air Act. The facts are that Richard Nixon created the EPA. The facts are George Herbert Walker Bush signed the Clean Air Act amendments, and the facts are, and I will finish with this, that it is very clear in the Clean Air Act that carbon pollution and any pollution related to climate change is covered. So this is a reality check from someone who believes we shouldn't go down this dangerous path of playing doctor, playing scientist, overturning the Environmental Protection Agency, which enjoys almost 70% support among the people of this greatest of all nations. I thank you very much, and I would yield.